Dear ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues, I sincerely thank the organizers of this conference for the opportunity to speak today. My presentation will introduce you to a method that represents a new Ukrainian approach to the correction and therapy of mental trauma. This method is known as biosuggestive therapy or BST. Biosuggestion is applied not only in trauma therapy, but also in the correction and treatment of psychosomatic disorders. It is a short-term therapeutic approach which effectiveness has been confirmed by scientific research and a large number of positive reviews from professionals who use these methods. We have already presented the theoretical background of the BST methods at the previous complex trauma conference. A video recording of that presentation is available. To avoid repetition, today I will focus on typical and unusual cases from the practice of our colleagues. I will just briefly note that the key elements of the BST methods are suggestive induction in a trance state, therapeutic touch, guided visualization. These elements are also used in other techniques, but in our methods, these components are combined differently than in others. Also, the BST method has its own innovations, which are indicated in the patent for this therapeutic model. 4 years ago, the Institute of Biosuggestive Therapy was founded. Until today, more than 1,000 specialists have been trained in the BST methods and received certificates. 20 scientific studies have been conducted on the topic of biosuggestion in Ukrainian universities. About 30 articles have been published in professional scientific journals. Over the period of the existence of these methods, more than 100,000 patients have received therapy using BST. The cases presented today are based on real clinical practice of our specialists. To protect confidentiality of clients, their names, ages, professions, locations have been modified. Okay, but first, a brief overview of scientific research. Scientific studies have confirmed the effectiveness of BST in pain syndrome correction, neurotic and stress-related disorders, speech disorders, logoneurosis, emotional disturbances, psychological rehabilitation of children and adolescents during wartime, gastroenterology applications, rehabilitation of combatants, and others. You can find links to scientific studies on our website. Briefly about some studies. To your attention, Tatiana Ivanitska-Dyachun, psychiatrist, PhD, assistant at the Department of Psychiatry, Narcology, and Medical Psychology, Ternopil National Medical University, Ministry of Health of Ukraine. Tatiana is the author of 3 scientific studies on BST. A psychotherapeutic correction of people suffering from internet addiction, treatment of depression, anxiety, and stress, use of biosuggestive therapy during the war in Ukraine. Tatiana, please tell us what your impression is of your scientific studies on BST.
Dear colleagues, thank you for your being here today. I would like to share with you some findings and real-life cases from my work with biosuggestive therapy, a method development in Ukraine for treatment trauma and psychosomatic disorders. In our empirical research, we found strong evidence that biosuggestive therapy is highly effectively in reducing anxiety, alleviating stress, improving depression symptoms. We used standardized psychosomatic tools to measure the results. The effectiveness ranged from 61% to 100%, depending on how suggestible each person was. Importantly, all participants said they feel better after just a few sessions. They reported better mood, more energy, and a stronger sense of psychological well-being.
You work with Ukrainian combatants in your clinic. Please tell us about some case from your practice.
Let me tell you about one patient. He was 34-year-old, a military medic who had served in several combat zones. He comes to me with classic PTSD symptoms: insomnia, high matter with terrifying sense, flashbacks during the day, constant feeling of dangers. We start biosuggestive therapy. After the first session, he said, "For the first time, I feel asleep without dreaming that I was carrying someone out from under shelling." After a few more sessions, he began to talk about the future. He spoke about his plans, and he said he wanted to learn how to live peacefully.
What do you think is the neural mechanism of therapeutic influence on the patient in this case?
Why does the method work so well? During a session, the patient enters a stage of deep relaxation. This activates the parasympathetic nervous system, the part of the body that calms us down. At the same time, the stress response is reduced. This helps normalize the hypothalamic pituitary anxiety axis, which controls stress hormones. Positively suggestion reduce cortisol, the stress hormones, and increase good chemical in the brain: serotonin, dopamine, endorphins, and oxytocin. Oxytocin is especially important. It creates feeling of safety, trust, and emotional relief. This hormonal shift helps the patient recover emotionally and physically.
Do you have experience treating combatants or civilians with panic attacks?
Another case: a young woman, a medical student, come to me with several anxiety. She was very intelligent and motivated, but before exam she felt terrible. She said, before an exam I feel terrible, unwell, my head wrench, uncomfortable, I cannot breathe. It seems as though I'm about to die. We start biosuggestive therapy. After a few sessions, he said, "It is strange, but I'm started to believe that I don't necessarily have to be afraid." By the end of therapy, her panic attacks were gone. She passed all her exam, and now she wants to become a psychiatrist and psychotherapist.
Thank you for working with Ukrainian combatants and civilians during the war in Ukraine and for sharing interesting cases from your practice. Biosuggestive therapy is taught at medical universities in Ukraine. We asked university teacher Alla Buzhenko, to tell us how students react to these methods.
Hi, hello. I am a senior teacher at the Department of Internal and Family Medicine at Lesia Ukrainka, Volyn National University, PhD. In the third year, I teach medical psychology to students of the medical faculty. I have integrated the BST method into the medical psychology courses and introduced into students. I have also conducted BST session for them. The students were very happy to get acquainted with biosuggestive therapy. 100% of them enjoyed the session. You know, students are constantly under tension because of the heavy academic workload. After the session, they feel vigor, strength, energy, inspiration, and improved concentration and attention. Overall, their psycho-emotional state improves. I believe these methods need to be popularized. I also teach students of the Faculty of Physical Therapy and Occupation Therapy, and they should also use it. BST are truly a method that enhances the quality of work of students, lecturers, doctors, and psychologists.
You are a psychotherapist and a dermatologist. Do you use biosuggestive therapy in your work with patients with skin diseases?
Yes, patients with dermatological conditions usually suffer from persistent anxiety and depressive disorders. Therefore, it is very important to improve their psycho-emotional state. This patient should undergo BST session, which have a positive effect on the course of the disease. I am both a psychotherapist and a dermatologist. I have patients with acne, an inflammatory disease of the sebaceous glands accompanied by eruptions on the skin of the face, back, and other areas of the body. When I conduct biosuggestive therapy session for such patients, their psycho-emotional state improves. These patients experience long-term remissions. Many skin disease, depending on the psycho-emotional state, either move into the stage of exacerbation or remission. BST is a very important and effective method for dermatological patients.
Biosuggestive therapy uses touching of patients by the therapist. This is not common in psychology. You have experience in body therapy not only in Ukraine, but also with patients from many countries all over the world. How do your patients perceive touching? Were there any difficulties?
Oh, I really love body-oriented therapy. I have used this method for more than 10 years. I also lead women retreats in India, Guam, and Indonesia, Bali. My clients come from different countries, mostly from Europe and America. In this country, touch can be seen as something dangerous, you know. A woman can even call the police if someone touches her. But in 10 years of practice, not a single woman at my retreats has ever told me, do not touch me, or that it caused panic or fear. Not once. On the contrary, they were happy when I touched them. Body-oriented therapy has a scientific basis. It is proven that during physical contact, the hypothalamic pituitary system is stimulated. The hypothalamus activates and sends signals to the pituitary. The pituitary releasing oxytocin and endorphin, feelings of trust, safety, support, joy, and pain relief. Cortisol decreases, less stress. The body moves into a state of relaxation and recovery. That is why after hugs or even simple touch, like placing a hand on a patient hand, they already feel better. So, colleagues, don't be afraid. If it is needed, you can touch your patients. Of course, always consider individual boundaries.
Thank you. Biosuggestive therapy is currently being used during the war against Moscow Federation. Could you please tell us a little bit about your work with Ukrainian combatants?
I'm a founder, a charity project from heart to heart with love for Ukraine. Our mission is to provide free medical and psychological assistance to all people affected by the war in Ukraine, as well as to support their comprehensive development for building healthy and prosperous Ukrainian nation. My team works with military people and people affected by the war in Ukraine. Biosuggestive therapy is one of the tools I use with the military. Usually, these patients suffer from sleep disorders, anxiety, fear, and panic attacks. I apply session once or twice a week. This is already enough. After the session, patients report our worry improved, and many stop using antidepressant, anxiolytics, or sleeping pills. I think these are very good results. Many medication negatively affect reaction time, and soldiers cannot take them because they must always take alert and active. In general, the results are excellent. Patients report better sleep, less anxiety, and no panic attacks. Overall, this method gives them strength and energy, and this is very important for military people.
Do you use biosuggestive therapy with combatants online?
Yes, I do online biosuggestive therapy session. It is very interesting experience for me. During the online session, I felt a strong connection with the patients. It felt as if they were sitting in my room, not hundreds of kilometers away. It was fantastic. I am not a skeptic. I believe in the possibility of energy interaction at the distance. Before, I could not test it, but BSC gave me this chance. Later, when I did offline session, I realized there was no difference between online and offline work. BST allows us to work with patients in different countries, cities, and places. This is especially important for a military person. I had clinical cases when a patient in a shelter turned on the camera. I could hear explosion, and he said, "I need a session now. I have 20 minutes. Please do it." It's very important that we can do session online, and the effect the same as in offline groups.
How do you civilian patients perceive biosuggestive online sessions?
I have patient with aerophobia. She was afraid of flying. She could not take plane for business trip, always use train or buses, and sometimes cancelled very important meeting. This affected her self-relation. She came to me for one session. 3 days later, she had a very important meeting in another country and needed to fly, but she was very afraid. I said, um, okay, we need try biosuggestive therapy. I suggested we try only one session, just only one. And what do you think? When she returned, she immediately wrote to me the same day. For the first time in her life, she had no panic attacks on the plane and felt calm. She remembered me and our session. She could not believe that into any minutes it possible to achieve this. Of course, before the session, we also take another methods, but not worked.
Very interesting case. Thank you. I don't know if it is usual or unusual case in biosuggestive therapy, maybe both. We have a lot of such cases. Okay, you have a huge number of patients. I'm getting tired working with BST methods.
Yes, I have a very difficult period now because I have many responsibility. I teach lessons to my students at the university. I have consultation with my patients and contact training for doctors. And sometimes in one day, I see a student 40 or even 50 patients. But when I use the method of biosuggestive therapy with my patients, I'm also rest and recharge myself. After this session, I do not feel tired. We heal both the patient and ourselves. This is very important. I am grateful for this method. And dear Alexander, thank you very much for creating the biosuggestive therapy method. It has scientific basis, allows working with patients online and offline, improves sleep, attention, concentration, memory, and mood, gives patients strength and energy, harmonizes the psycho-emotional state, and promote release recovery of the body. I wish good health, peace, harmony, and prosperity in all areas of life. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for sharing your so interesting experience. I wish you further personal and professional success. Thank you.
Thank you.
If a patient doesn't have the opportunity to get therapy, our specialists recommended that he or she simply listen to biosuggestion hour sessions. Many patients experience improving of well-being, but sometimes they don't believe that these good changes happened because of our audio sessions. Natalia Fostovets, a practical psychologist, supervisor, trainer, will tell us about one of these cases. Please, Natalia.
Hi, Alexander.
Hello.
Thank you for this opportunity to share my experience. I have a very interesting case. I would say a pretty curious case
Mm-hmm.
related to soldier from front line. This soldier evacuates the wounded and fallen, and he reached out to me, not because of pain, because of sleep. He said he was sleeping 40, 90 minutes a day for months. Constant stress had worn him down. He barely spoke to his family. He lashed out. He was running on empty. And I offered a session. He said he'd try and when he could. And then silence. Not for a day or two, not even a week, much longer. Finally, I wrote, "How are you doing?" And he replied, "Thanks for the session, but it doesn't work." I asked what he meant, and he said, "Well, I turn it on, and in a couple of minutes I'm out, and I sleep until morning. I've never made it to the end." So sometimes healing start quietly with sleep.
Yes, by the way, this happened often. By the way, anyone can experience the effect of our audio sessions. They are available on YouTube in English, Ukrainian, German, French, Italian, Polish, and Hungarian. You can also find them on our website www.biosuggestive.eu stress relaxation. Okay, an important question is how long does the positive effect of biosuggestive therapy last? What is the typical duration of remission? Natalia, how would you answer this question?
Oh, my own case. I went to a course last April just because someone I trust told me to. 2 days, 4 BST sessions, and back then I had constant migraines every time the weather changed. Now, more than a year later, not a single headache, and I still can't believe it.
It's wonderful. It's wonderful. More than 1 year, no migraine, no migraine. Okay, okay. Thank you, Natalia, for sharing your experience. I wish you many new professional achievements.
Thank you, Alexander. Bye bye. Have a nice day.
At the end of our presentation, I will share one unusual case from my practice. I've been a psychiatrist for almost 40 years, but I cried together with my patient only once. What happened? I am a citizen of Ukraine, but I work in Hungary, where I have my own small clinic. A few years ago, during my vacation, I came to Ukraine to work with Ukrainian combatants. I was allowed to work for a month in the psychiatric department of one of the military hospitals. I conducted biosuggestive therapy sessions with patients at this hospital. One day, the head of the department asked me to work with one of their most difficult patients. Let's call him Alec. He was a huge guy, a combatant almost 2 meters tall. It was heartbreaking. He didn't speak. He only made some sounds, cried, and pointed to his head with his finger, meaning, I am crazy, I am an idiot, I am finished. During the war, he was bombed. It happened at night, suddenly. His comrades died. He was deeply traumatized and lost the ability to speak. He was in a critically depressed state. After a previous month in the psychiatric department, his condition hadn't improved. He lived in a constant fear that medication couldn't relieve. Okay, I introduced myself and said, Alec, listen, I will do 8 relaxation sessions with you. Our goal is that after the 8th session, you will speak on the phone. Do you understand? He just made some sounds, burst into tears again, and gestured, I'm crazy, I'm full, I will not live. I conducted the first BST session. Afterward, I told him to come back the next day for the second session. The next day, he was the same as the day before. No changes. Still crying, still making sounds, still pointing to his head. The only positive thing was that he came to me on his own, which I didn't really expect. Okay, I did the second session. On the third day, still no changes. He seemed to be a little bit calmer, but still no speaking. I thought, my therapy doesn't work. He won't be speaking on the phone soon. I need to do something to speed this up. Before the next session, I asked my grandson to draw a picture for him. I told my grandson, draw something for the wounded soldier. I will give this picture to him and say, it's from you with wishes to get better. My grandson drew a sun, flowers, a house with Ukrainian flag and wrote, thank you, soldier. Artem, 6 years old. I brought this drawing to the fourth meeting. I say, Alec, my grandson drew this for you. I expected that my patient would be pleased and somehow he would show that he was grateful. But his reaction was unexpected. He burst into tears. But this time he cried from happiness. And he started to speak a little. This is for me. He was crying. I was close to crying too, but I stayed calm. I said, yes, this drawing is especially for you. My grandson wants you to get healthy. Suddenly, he jumped out of his chair and ran out. I thought, what happened? Where did he run? A minute later, he came back and gave me his military badge. He said, this for your grandson, and cried again, cried from happiness. I did the fourth session. On the next day, Alec was much better. He was already trying to say something. I did the next BST session. When I come for the sixth session, I saw him sitting on a bench, smiling and trying to say something to someone on the telephone. It was not easy for him, but he tried and looks happy. The nurse told me that he was happy because he received good news today. His comrades, with whom he was under bombs, were alive. He thought they had died, but they survived. Alec looks just a different person. He finished the call and said, My brothers are alive, alive. I say, great, I am very, very happy. Then I told him, Eric, do you remember our first conversation? I told you then that our goal is that you will talk on the telephone after our sessions. And you just talked on the phone, right? He froze. It seemed he hadn't realized yet that he talked on the phone. He looked at me and kept silent. And then he became hysterical, hysterical from happiness. He understood that he is no longer crazy, stupid, an idiot. Life is back. He is talking on the phone. That meant he could speak without it too. He cried, shook my hand, hugged me, and I couldn't hold my tears anymore. He was crying, and I was crying too. I said, Alec, you see, everything is okay. Today is our sixth session. There are two more left. Let's make sure you get 100% better. Okay? The next day, I came to the hospital, but Alec was not there. I went to the head of the department, asked where he was. The head of the department answered, we discharged him from the hospital. We cured him. He doesn't need our help anymore. The essence of this case is that this patient had previously received pharmacological treatment for a month without result. But pharmacology, together with biosuggestive therapy, cured him in 6 days. That's all we wanted to tell you. We will be glad if our information was useful for you, and you will contact us for further cooperation. Thank you for attention. Many thanks to the Institute of Complex Trauma for helping Ukraine. Freedom must win, and freedom will win.